stand together and accept that we now live in a world transformed by Fukushima. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time here on UCY.TV radio. We relentlessly engage every ear that listens. We expose and confront the complete lack of accountability for the nuclear industry. Consider social engineering programs who view our bodies, minds, and souls as assets on a balance sheet. We discuss vital current issues, interview activists, and engage our audience in an effort to allow all voices to be heard. The Age of Fission radio show creates a venue that all will choose. We encourage our listeners to reclaim their power and their courage to take action and save our planet from the ravages of greed and indifference. Our actions matter. Every voice matters. We remind our listeners that happiness is resistance. Love is greater than fear.
Sounds like we're getting a day off, man.
Are we? No, I don't know. Are we live, guys? I'm not getting any noise here. Tell me, somebody, if over there in there's chat, if you can hear me. Having troubles with Skype again. I don't know. I'm not getting, guys, I'm trying to get through here. Look, I'm going to hang up and I'm going to call UCY, okay?
Okay. Yeah, okay.
Hey, good morning. Do you hear me, guys? Somebody over there tell me if we're on, because I'm having trouble with Skype again. Yes, no. Do you hear me in chat? Please, somebody say yes. Yes, no. Hey, it's working? Okay, great. Well, anyways, seems I always have this problem calling in for some reason, and I don't know why, guys. Anyways, welcome to the show. It is The Big Puzzle. This is Friday morning. Coming to you live from my kitchen here in northern British Columbia through the facilities of UCY TV. Thanks for joining the show. Always screws me up when the shows get started like this, but we'll get back to track here. Anyways, welcome to the show. And listen, today I invited Ed Opperman to join me. We're going to have a conversation about general going-ons that we see going on inside American politics and world politics. Welcome to the show, Ed. And I know there's something you wanted to talk about right away this morning. So welcome to The Big Puzzle.
Hey, good morning, Barry. How are you?
Oh, I kind of hate that when it starts like that, because I get all off on my cue and blah, 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 and I got my little blurt I'm going to say, and I didn't get to say it. But anyways, it's all good.
Yeah,
that's what happens when they have amateur radio and amateur people.
Almost a day off.
But anyways, yeah, go ahead. You were something we were talking about just prior to coming on the air.
Oh, about the Rosneft thing?
Yeah, I mean, it is something I wasn't really aware of, and I wanted you to talk about it for a few minutes.
Yeah, okay. You know, it's a fascinating thing. I found out at first from this guy Grant Stern. You can Google Grant Stern Rosneft, Rosneft, and if you just Google Rosneft by itself, or even I think Grant Stern Rosneft, it autofills Trump comes up right after it, and it's hardly reported anywhere. But it's a real deal. It's really going on. And basically what it is this Russian company, Rosneft, it's an oil and gas company over there in Russia. And they were privatizing the company, which means that they would make it public. It's almost like when a company here in America goes public, and you could buy stock in it and stuff like that. So people are allowed to buy stock in this company, but the average person couldn't buy it. It had to be like a big giant billionaire or a big company. And the people who were involved in this privatization, this is a big money deal. This is a huge operation. The people that were involved in this were people like Tillerson from Exxon, and Trump was involved. And the president of the Philippines was involved. And Qatar was involved. And all these guys, you see these names, and Manafort, Giuliani's involved in his deal. All these people around Trump. And all the people that were there at that secret meeting, I don't know if it was a secret meeting, but that shady meeting over at the Mayflower Hotel, where Sessions met the Russian ambassador, Kislyov, or whatever it is, all these guys. So the Rosneft deal it's a big money deal, and it explains a lot of reasons too, like why Trump is so friendly with the Philippines right now, and why he's so angry with Qatar. And he took the sides of the Saudis over Qatar, even though we have our bases in Qatar, which we use. We're flying all of our bombing missions out of Qatar in the Middle East, and Trump is fighting with Qatar and siding with the Saudis against Qatar. So it's a very people got to look it up. Rosneft, Rosneft.
Well, you know what? I this is kind of all new to me. I wasn't aware of this situation at all.
Kind
of sheds a light on a lot of things. I mean, just another thing to put into my brain right now and trying to figure out what's going on in the United States of America. Because we're seeing an allegory of events coming out, man. Where it's all going, I don't know, Ed. But this is kind of interesting information. I think people should Google that and have a look.
Grant Stern is doing great work on this. You can check it out.
So what do you think about all the going-ons right now in the States, Ed? What's your take on this? I mean, seeing hardcore information coming out about corruption in the DOJ and the FBI and conflicts of interest and blah, 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 blah. But it seems like we can't go on the internet now and not see something new coming out about one of the parties or the other parties. So what do you make of it all?
Well, yeah, we were talking off the air. You were saying, I think you said you were 65 or something like that, and I'm 55.
63. Give me a couple of years, Jack.
I know, right? It's like every year counts, man. Yeah, it's so precious.
I'll tell you, when you get 63, Ed, the years seem to go by very, very quickly. So
I'm still right in 2016. I'm like,
65 will be tomorrow.
I know.
Go ahead, Doug. I want to get your take on it.
But we're both saying we've never seen anything like this in our lifetimes. And I've been following politics since the Nixon McGovern election, 5th grade. So we've never seen anything like this. It is kind of, oh my God, what's becoming of us here? Where the FBI is involved in the election and investigating opposition parties and stuff. It's a frightening time in so many different ways. And even when you look at this whole thing you see now with Harvey Weinstein and Kevin Spacey and all that, we're watching, and Matt Lauer, we're watching all of our iconic figures that you turn on your TV, people that make you feel comfortable, people that control the media, all being removed off the stage, just pulled away, like all these comfort figures that we have. So, and I don't think that's by accident. I think we're being prepared where we're going to have some kind of a drastic change in our government, the way things are run, and the office of the president may not even exist in our lifetime. So, when you see these things, like these FBI investigations and stuff, all this stuff is out there. All these crimes are out there. I believe. I believe Trump was colluding with the Russians. I believe that they manipulated. I think they did hacking. He has some kind of side deals going on. You talk about the Clintons with the uranium one. Of course they're out to make money, these people. This is what they're doing. But they've done this for 40, 50 years? Clinton was neck deep in Mena, Arkansas, and cocaine smuggling. And we're going to complain because they're selling some uranium. They got a kickback on some uranium deal, That's what we're going to put him in jail for? You know?
No, it was only $150 million. It's just chicken scratch in today's world.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, compared to doing it at the Coke back in the 80s, you know? And they just did a movie about that. They just did a movie about it. Like it's nothing.
You got to laugh about it, Ed, because like we were saying before the show started, I'm really, really trying to stay on the outside and not get drawn into any particular line of thought. But I'm seeing events unfold in the United States of America where really it's turning upside down. And like you said, iconic figures in the government now are being exposed for the highest levels of corruption. I mean, what went on with the Trump dossier alone, that is factual information now, and it's out there in the public realm that, the Clinton Foundation, the DNC funded the dossier, went through 3 or 4 different channels, and a FISA warrant apparently with Peter Strzok's. Now, we can't get to the bottom of that yet, but if that comes out this week, that it was Peter Strzok that signed the FISA warrant to get this information on the Trump campaign. I'm not a Trump supporter, but what we're talking about is a complete collapse of the legal system in the United States of America. Every one of these people should be taken out in handcuffs because the information's out there now. It's not a conspiracy theory anymore. Go ahead.
Yeah, the whole thing with the dossier is interesting, because they're saying that Trump acted unlawfully by consulting with the Russians, like that meeting that Trump Jr. had at the Trump Tower there in Manhattan, with the woman allegedly about adoptions, Russian adoptions. By the way, I did a whole show on that too. But so that would be unlawful. But then when the Republican primaries and the Clintons later on hired this Christopher Steele and Fusion GPS to run this dossier, he used Russian sources, but somehow that's not unlawful. Now, we've had I'm a private investigator, as you know, and I've done a little bit of political opposition research in the last couple of years. It hasn't been an area I even considered before recently when I started getting heavily involved in local politics. So we've been discussing this on the different PI forums, when we're not all arguing about nonsense. Every now and then we have a legitimate discussion in these PI forums or these email loops that we're involved in, what would I do if someone came to me, a candidate, and said, "Okay, I want opposition research on my opponent." I don't think it's unlawful for me to contact a foreign government or an agent of a foreign government, especially a shady kind of like a shadowy. We don't know if they're officially a KGB agent or officially with the Mossad or whatever, but these people are around. And I'll tell you something else too. This is a perfect example because I'm kind of involved in all this on a couple of different levels. One is during this past election with Trump, I found this woman named Sally Miller, and she was one of Clinton's former girlfriends, and she hadn't done an interview in 20 years. So I did an interview with her, tell us about your experiences. And as a matter of fact, she on my show exclusively, she reported that Hillary Clinton had 2 abortions while she was married to Bill. And then later on, what's his name, Rush Limbaugh, repeated word for word what he heard, what they was done on my show. I got no credit for it, but it was repeated. And after she came on my show a couple of times, Russia, the Russia version of MTV, not RT, this is a real Russian channel over there in Russia, came to the United States. They flew here to her home, and they filmed the whole segment with her to be broadcast over there in Russia. So that's kind of Russian, the Russians got involved in our election. They were promoting this woman who was anti-Clinton. So who knows? I forget where I was going with all this. It's very early over here.
I think when I was talking about the FBI agent involved in all these investigations, I might have got his name wrong. So if somebody in chat could correct me on that, it'd be great. But I thought his name was Peter Strzok. But he's the guy that's really at the kind of the forefront of everything that's going on as far as the dossier, as far as the meeting on the tarmac, his meetings with Clinton. I've been following this really closely for the last 2 weeks, and I'm trying to vet the information and make sure it's true. But everything I'm seeing is true, Ed. So we're really seeing an exposure of corruption at the highest levels in the government and the American people. I don't know how they're going to take this or how they're taking it right now. I know in Canada right now we're dealing with a maniac, and Canadian people are just about ready to go to the streets. I see that coming real quick. What do you think?
I think it would be great if people went to the streets.
I hope we have enough Canadians up here with guts to do that, because I'm on multiple sites that are watching and monitoring what's going on inside our Canadian government. And we are dealing, if Americans aren't aware of just exactly what Justin Trudeau is all about, I urge you to go listen to some of the going-ons in our House of Commons, a few of the bills that he's brought forward in the last 3 or 4 months, the outright lies that this guy says. I mean, just a $10.5 million payout to a convicted terrorist has got Canadians going, what the hell is going on? People might not know this, but I really kind of looked into this settlement with Omar Khadr, and that was 100% Trudeau's decision to pay this guy out. Canadian people would have liked to seen that go to court and carried out right to the end, but Trudeau made this decision on his own to pay this guy $10.5 million of our money. What an outrage. What an outrage. Oh, and this guy, by the way, we are going to have reintegration programs for ISIS fighters here in Canada. Isn't that great? Isn't that great? They're going to be walking around the streets, but they're going to be re-educated into our Western ways. This is what Trudeau is trying to sell to us now, man. It's just, you know what to say? I don't want to talk about Trudeau anymore, okay, Ed, because I will start swearing. And my blood pressure will go right through the roof. It's just unbelievable. You guys think you got problems down there. I'll make this statement to any American. I'd trade you a Trump for a Trudeau anytime, and I'd throw in Quebec. Any day of the week.
That's a good deal. I think we'll take Quebec.
Anybody want to take me up on that? Come on, please.
Hey, you know what we should have, though?
Maybe you guys should invade us.
You know what I want? I want Nova Scotia. Oh, that area that's east of Maine. Why do you guys have that? It's part of our country. We should take that.
Wait a second. The Alaska Panhandle comes down the coast of British Columbia for about 600 miles, 700 miles. And it's just a great big hunk of land that should have been part of Canada. How come you guys got that?
Okay, no, I'll give you Alaska. You take Alaska. We want that area by Maine over there.
Well, I'll trade you that panhandle that you guys got all the way down the coast, and you guys can have Maine. No problem.
We already got Maine. The art of the deal. The art of the deal here.
Listen to comments here in the chat there, and Mr. Ocelli in there's making a few comments.
Chuck Ocelli, that bum?
Yeah, Chuck Ocelli, the Chuck Ocelli, the radio star, is in the chat room right now.
Yeah. Hey, Chuck, what's up?
Or he might have left on me. I don't know.
Good.
Might have said a few things he don't like. But
oh, really? Well,
okay. We got to share our opinions, whether they're right or wrong. It's what I see going on right now. I see absolute chaos going on. And it seems like in every government agency around the world. I mean, look what down in the United Nations yesterday. Pretty heavy stuff going on over there right now.
Yeah, you got to wonder, like, what motivates this guy to make this declaration about moving the embassy from to Jerusalem? Like what is the benefit to our country for doing that? It's just all these people, who claim that Trump is he's fighting the deep state, when they're sabotaging everything he's doing. But most of these are unforced errors that he's doing. When he gets on TV and he says that the Nazis are very fine people, it's not the deep state putting those words in his mouth. This is stuff he does on his own. When he's retweeting these Nazi Muslim, anti-Muslim videos, you know what I mean? This is not the deep state manipulating his fingers. When he practically confesses on there that he fired Flynn because he lied to the FBI. This is out of his own hands, his own mouth. So with this whole thing in Jerusalem, I can see no benefit to anyone anywhere for doing that. Maybe he's got some kind of reason besides senility.
Well, I'm not a Trump supporter.
Yeah.
I look at it as being two parts of a charade being played out on the American people. But a few things that he has done, we gotta acknowledge the fact that the American economy is rebounding right now. So how that plays into his agenda, how that is being used to manipulate the American public to maybe support Trump in a way that will allow him to bring down the hammer that the American people won't recognize, I see as a real possible scenario. So, to me, I'm sitting back and watching it all. Like I said, I'm a far cry from a Trump supporter. But some of the things he's done, I do agree with. That's all I'll say.
Well, I got to tell you this. I really don't see how the economy's rebounding unless you mean the stock market.
Well, no, hey, wait a second. The stats that are released by the American government show the GOP now almost at 3.7%. It never went over 1.2% in the 8 years that Obama was in the office. Unemployment. These are government facts, not Trump saying this, not the Republicans. The government facts say that unemployment's at a 17-year low. That a lot of work is coming back to the states, and a lot of factories are now looking at this as a change. Now, the new tax bill that was brought in, I kind of looked at that. I don't see really negatives in there unless I'm not seeing something that I should see. So if there's something in that tax bill, because I looked at it a little bit, I'm trying to look at it objectively, and I don't see too much in there that's negative for the American people. What do you think, Ed?
Oh, no, yeah. GDP and unemployment rates decreasing. All of that was, if you look at the trajectory under Obama, it's been increasing anyway. So it's really nothing Trump's done in the past. Chuck is messaging me on Skype now. Chuck, I don't see what he says. Who knows?
Well, yeah, he don't like a lot of things I say, but then you know what? We all are entitled to our opinion, right or wrong. It's our opinion. What's he saying? Get him to come in here, Chuck. Why don't you join the show?
He says, maybe
tell him to come on in here, and I'll have we can hear what Chuck has to say.
I love Chuck. Hey, by the way, Chuck is on Awake Radio 4 nights a week. I took over Awake Radio, and so I think we play 5 o'clock. We play 5 to 7 o'clock 4 nights a week, and then Friday I'm on there Friday nights at 5 o'clock. But the thing is, okay, and unemployment and the GDP, these rates were going along, moving in this direction steadily. There's charts where you could see, but also too, the business about the stock market. Most Americans aren't in the stock market. It doesn't benefit most Americans, and the few Americans, like 40% that are involved in the stock market, are because of their 401ks and stuff like that. So it's really not. And this tax plan is going to be a disaster. It increases the national debt. It's a giveaway to these rich billionaires, and even like people like in New York and Connecticut and California, hardworking people, just middle-class people, can no longer deduct their state and local taxes, which are enormous. So I was listening to people, I can't deduct your property taxes. I was listening to some guys on the radio from New York last night saying the property tax is $16,000 a year. He lost that deduction. So this is going to be devastating. And any benefit to working-class people, it goes away in 7 years anyway. So there's another giveaway to the rich. And oh, my God, this thing with the estate tax. This is disastrous. By doing away with the estate tax, okay? And a lot of people call it the death tax, but it's the estate tax. The Walton family, these 5 members of the Walton family that are going to get $50 billion from that. They're going to personally gain an additional $50 billion. They're the heirs to the Walmart fortune, right? These are 5 people that never created a job in their life, never worked a day in their life, pay no taxes. One of them is a killer. She was a drunk driver and killed some guy down in Mexico. This is a filthy family. They should be in chains. They should be in a jail. And we're giving them an additional $50 billion that they're not going to pay any taxes on. They don't even pay their workers a living wage that we have to subsidize their payroll with food stamps. This is outrageous. And that keeps the money in the hands of the top 1%, that the average person, we're living in slave conditions here in the United States. The average worker, our living wage has not increased in like 20, 30 years. You and me, older. I hate to say it, but older, like you said, you're 62. I gave you a year this time. Okay, I'm 55. Man, we look back 30 years ago, man. You could have a job in a butcher shop, or a florist or a bakery. You could have a little job like that and support your family, send your kids to college, have a new car, buy a house. You can't do any of that stuff today, especially not if you're working in Walmart. You have to be on food stamps.
Well, I better look at a few more aspects of this tax bill.
Oh, God, it's tonight.
You brought a few things. I will. I'll look at it.
I'm going to Canada.
Yeah, in these days, man, you need two people working in the family to make ends meet. And I see it in Canada right now that people are really, really starting to feel the effects of the economy going down. People are struggling. People are struggling up here. Ed. People that normally aren't struggling are struggling.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. And then when both parents are working, then the kids, there's nobody supervising the kids, giving them any attention, and they get into all these kinds of problems and all kinds of trouble. I see this stuff, because as a private investigator, I criminal defense. I work on criminal defense cases all day long, and so many problems are because these teenagers and these young adults, they have no supervision in their life. They have no guidance, no one guiding them.
Well, take that and let's couple that with some of the indoctrination that's put into their brains now, and then let them loose on the street. Let's go out. What are we going to do tonight, guys, to get into trouble? I mean, we see a real breakdown in our society.
But you know what? Even decent people, who aren't looking to get into trouble. Like I was telling you on the phone yesterday, these girls, these Corey Feldman girls, these Corey's Angels. I've been working on this whole Corey Feldman story all this week. Tonight I have... last week I had that kid from the movie A Christmas Story, the kid who got his tongue stuck on the pole in the movie A Christmas Story, Scott Schwartz. And he grew up with Corey Feldman. He grew up with Corey Haim. And he revealed all his insider information about this. This week I have two of Corey's Angels, these young women that this character is luring from across the country to come live with him and his wife and his girlfriend. He's got a little threesome going on already, and he has like 5 other women living in his house. He's not paying them. They got all these stories they're sharing. But the thing is, these are young women, because I've been dealing with like 12 of them for the past week. It's impossible to deal with them. They're like wrangling cats. These they have no guidance in their life. They have no stability. Half of them have no driver's licenses. And because they grew up in a situation with no father in the home, I guess, and no one guiding them through life. And where do they wind up in this weird cult, this Corey Feldman cult, over there in his house in California? So it's not just people like looking to get into trouble and stuff like that. It's just innocent people, well-meaning, decent people. These are nice girls, but just they've had no stability in their life, with no one guiding them or teaching them. Learn about.
Well, what are we seeing? Are we seeing an end result of the breakdown of our society? Yeah, I think we are. I think we're seeing the breakdown of the family. It's pretty in our face what is going on with our children in schools, how they're indoctrinated, how their minds are what I call corrupted at a very, very early age. I mean, they now have sex education programs in kindergarten in Canadian schools, and I'm going, wait a second, hold on, well, what is going on here? Why are we even talking to 5- and 6-year-old children about sex when that should be the farthest thing from the mind? Whatever happened to kids being kids, Ed? We don't see that anymore. I know I grew up in a different environment. Sure, there was some of the corruption starting to seep into our society back when I was a child, but I remember my childhood as being one that we were allowed to be kids, man. I was outside playing 24/7. My parents had to go look for me at the end of the night when it was getting dark, and if they couldn't find me, they'd phone a neighbor 2 blocks away and they'd find me. And that's the way our neighborhood was set up. Everybody knew everybody. But we don't see that anymore. We see complete breakdown in communication between human beings.
Yeah,
henceforth, we see the breakdown of the family. And of course, you look at divorce rates, you look at the single parent rates in the United States and Canada. We look at the results of these single parent families, how the children turn out. You look at all the facts, and we're on a slippery slope.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And I think that this whole business with these cell phones and these video games is causing people to be more. I don't carry a cell phone. When I walk I don't want to be annoyed by phone calls, first of all, when I'm walking down the street or when I'm driving, what the hell? That's the last thing I want, But also, too, it prevents you from communicating with the person next to you, at a party or a bar. I just went to a Christmas party last night, and half the people in there, they're staring at their phones, texting away on their phones instead of talking to the person next to them. What do you go to a party for if you're going to start putting you on your phone? It's insane. what do
you go to any coffee shop, and there's 4 people sitting at the table, and all 4 of them have got their phones out, and they're looking at their phones, and yet they're sitting across the table from somebody.
That's what happened last night.
Hold on, don't we get together to sit and talk?
Yeah. But also, too, and this is by design. This is no accident. And family court, you talk about the destruction of the family. It's by design from the top down in family court. And they're all these lawyers and these custody evaluators and these therapists and these judges. They're all and the accountants and forensic accountants. All these people are in cahoots with each other, paying each other off. And the last concern that they have is the kids. And these kids are seen as a commodity. And that's why you got this guy Judge Moore down there in Alabama. He's targeting kids outside of family court because everybody knows these kids are at risk and they're easy targets. Hey.
Well, I've some of the things that I've seen Child Protective Services do in the United States of America. Some of the stuff they're doing in Canada now. I mean, Bill C-89 in Ontario is almost law now, where the government can come in and take your children out of the house if you don't agree with the children's decision on their gender. So in other words, if Johnny comes home and tells you he wants to be a girl and the parents don't go along with that, Child Protective Services in Ontario now can take your children out of the house and put them in a foster home. I mean, what really is going on in our society? I mean, the breakdown of the society this isn't something that just came overnight. I see this being implemented in our society over the last 20 years, when I've really seen the acceleration of different attacks that really kind of get us to the point we are right now. Children just are not being raised with any kind of a moral standard in their life. That everything is good, that is what I call good in the world, is now bad, and everything that is bad is now good. And it just seems to be accelerating, but it's only a small group of people that are funding and pushing these agendas in our schools and through the entertainment industries. We got to stand up to this and identify it, guys.
Yeah, and we see now, Harvey Weinstein. I knew about Weinstein for years. And by the way, there's a lot of stuff too in Weinstein's background that isn't being talked about. This is a very dangerous guy. I had a guest. I had 2 guests on my show exclusively that were molested by Weinstein, harassed by Weinstein. But I was talking about this guy and the violence around this guy and the intimidation stuff before it came out about it. He's hiring these Mossad agents to dig up dirt on these people. It's well-known character, Weinstein in Hollywood, very dangerous guy. Seriously dangerous. So we see that our entertainment industry is run by perverts, by drastic perverts. But the other thing too is you find about this is that it's interesting that they're talking about how they're harassing adult women and raping adult women. But a lot of these guys are involved in pedophilia too. Like Kevin Spacey was on the plane with Jeffrey Epstein, Bill Clinton, and Chris Rock. And now 24/7 news about Kevin Spacey, but they don't mention his connection to Epstein even a little bit, not even in passing. Give me a break. And by the way, that's another thing too that confirms too the speaking of Epstein, because there was a lawsuit where this woman in New York sued Trump and Epstein for being raped when she was 13 years old, and that woman was doing a press conference the week before the election, and she was going to do a press conference with Lisa Bloom, and Lisa Bloom's website came under DDoS attack, and so did Livestream, because it was going to be Livestream. Now, Livestream's a big company, and Livestream was shut down, and Lisa Bloom's website was shut down. Now, this was a professional, state-level attack on these websites that shut down these websites, and this woman was so terrified that she dropped out of the lawsuit out of fear. Now, you look at the dossier, and they talk about how Trump was connected with this company called Webzilla, that had this capability. They had the capability to redirect porn traffic to shut down websites. So that confirms another thing that's in this this dossier. Now, even though a lot of people try to dismiss this lawsuit, but I can tell you that I know a lot about it. Sean Hannity said on his radio show that week, he says, we dodged a bullet this week. And when Trump won the election, he said, well, what do you mean? He says, Epstein. So I think if things could have changed, things could have came out differently if that press conference went forward and was definitely state-sponsored, that it was shut down.
What a tangled web we weave, eh?
I know, man. I know.
I don't know where it's all going, Ed. I really don't. I kind of agree with a lot of things that I see going on right now are really kind of taking it to an escalation point where, something's going to happen where we're going to see a drastic change in society. What I see right now with a big push towards cashless, I think we're going to see a real major push towards a cashless society in the next 3 or 4 months. We see it developing very quickly in Europe. We see it developing in India. India now apparently is 90% cashless. Everything's done through biometrics and chips. That's coming to our society very quickly. And when that happens, boy, I'll tell you, you think we're under their thumb right now. Just wait. I think everybody should fight hand over fist, Ed. I really do. Because if they do get us to a point of cashless, everything will be on a computer. The black market will disappear. They'll be all over us like poop to blanket.
And also, too, if that happens, see, there's certain transactions. Like, look, let's say your car gets towed and it goes to the tow yard. They only accept cash because they don't want you doing a chargeback on your credit card or denying the charge or stuff like that. So they'll have to make adjustments to that some of these card transactions are final, that you have no choice afterwards, because these are huge industries. But the merchant payment processing industry, okay, there's one company that owns 60%. They run Google Pay, they run PayPal. One company has 60% of the market, okay, and they get 3% out of every freaking transaction going on out there that you use a card for. This is they got a cut of the entire economy, and this is a privately run company that's making digital funds, a digital currency, and taking a cut of. How is this even allowed? How is this allowed? Who gave them the right to print currency, to create currency, and take a cut out of every transaction? It makes no sense. How do we even allow? And you know what? This is a dangerous, powerful company. One time they heard me talking about them, and they shut off my merchant account. Listen to this, man. I scroll down there. This is a huge company, right? I said 60% of every transaction. I start calling down there, and I said, "Hey, what's going on? Why'd you shut off my account?" And every time I would call, they'd send me to this same woman. And I'd say, how is this possible? Every time I call, I get this same woman. So one day I
she speak back. English?
Yeah, no, she spoke perfect. Oh, she's perfect.
Seems like most of my calls now are to people that can't speak English.
No, but that's what I'm saying. This wasn't like a call center. They were sending me to someone who knew who I was. Because I said, listen, something has to be going on here. Someone must be pissed off at me that works at your company because there's no reason for you to shut off my account. And one day I called her up, and I guess I was like a little hungover, and I called her up in the morning, and I says, hey, what's going on? I need to talk to you about this. And she goes, this isn't Ed Opperman. I know Ed Opperman's voice. And I said, what? What do you mean you know my voice? What? And, something was going on, dude.
You're on their digital record, Ed.
Oh, yeah. When they know your voice, you know you're in trouble.
Well, any kind of banking transaction is just robbing you blank. I mean, if people just study fractional banking and how the banks are set up, what they're doing, if we did, we'd be in jail for. But the government condones it and allows it to go on. It's just robbery. I challenge everybody out there to shut down your bank account and live without one. And people say, what? How can you live without a bank account? Well, you know what? I've been doing it for almost 2 years now, Ed, and I'm surviving quite well. I absolutely took a stand against the banks. You can live without them, believe it or not, but it takes a little bit of willingness to do that. Everybody's so entwined into the system, so into their cards and this and that. I mean, come on, take a step away from it. Have a look. Chuck O'Celli says he wants to join for the last 10 minutes, so we'll pull Chuck in for the last 10 minutes.
I don't want to talk to Chuck. Wait, we're Barry.
No, okay. Well, he says he wants to join for 10 minutes at the end there, so I'll pull him in.
But Barry,
yeah, no, I can always talk to Chuck.
No. Bring Chuck in. I don't mind. But Barry.
Yeah. We'll give him a few minutes and we'll pull him in here.
Barry, you're telling me you're starting this new business, though, with this hemp wall product, right? This construction product. How are you going to do that without a bank account?
Well, that's one of the things that I've actually had to come to the conclusion that I'm probably going to have to change, because I am probably going to have to get back on the grid to do this. Unfortunately, I'm getting involved with this company, and you know what? It is the most inspiring and the most promising thing that I've ever seen come out in the market is really developing and exposing knowledge of hemp-based products to people, because when society sees the difference and sees what can be done with these products as opposed to normal building, it's going to catch on like wildfire. And I urge everybody to take a look at it, because we could really make monumental changes in our society if we can get back to a hemp-based society, period. So yeah, I'm going to have to do something about that, Ed. Unfortunately, I'm actually talking with my son about setting up a joint account, because if I put any money in a bank, the government's going to grab it.
Yeah, and
they're after my ass. Excuse my language.
I'm actually writing a book right now. It's about debt and credit and asset protection. Every facet of all this stuff. How to increase your credit score dramatically overnight. I got all these different tricks. How to repair your credit. How to protect your assets. How to collect money from people that owe you money. Every area of debt and credit and that kind of stuff. I'm doing a book on right now. But if you want to bring Chuck in, I was just kidding. I'd love. Chuck does a great show on awakeradio.us. You can catch him there every Monday to Thursday at 5 p.m.
Well, he also does his own show Mondays, Fridays at 5 p.m. Pacific time on the O'Celli Network.
Yeah. Oh,
so
really?
he's on 5 days a week, man. The guy is I call him the Duracell bunny.
Yeah, only listen 4 days.
He just keeps going and going and going.
You only want to listen to Chuck 4 days, though, because take Friday off from Chuck and listen to the Opperman Report.
But yeah, I'll try and pull him in here in a few minutes, and we'll get his thoughts on what we've been talking about this hour. He's always got interesting thoughts, for sure. I'll message him to call in.
This show is very boring on Fridays. You shouldn't listen to it.
Yeah, I don't know if I can add him to the call here. I don't know if I can do that, so I've messaged him to call in. And, yep, there you go.
Oh, I think he might have hung up on me. They dumped me. They dumped my call. Yep, they did. They did. They brought in Chuck O'Celli. Cut me out of the call.
Sorry about that. Chuck was calling me on the other line, and I told him to call into UCY because I'm not, for some reason, not being able to add him to the call here.
I got bumped from the show for Chuck O'Celli. Like, Chuck's call and kicked me off.
Are you following what's going on up here in Canada at all, Ed, with our government?
Oh, boy. I guess, well, give me an example. Like, what's the problem? Some of it, I guess.
What isn't the problem? I mean, it's just absolute insanity what this government is bringing forth. It absolutely boggles my mind. We're seeing a lot of Canadians now. I mean, I'm talking tens of thousands of Canadians are waking up to what's going on, and there ain't too many happy Canadians with Justin Trudeau right now, or the Liberal government. Everything they're doing is counterproductive to the future of Canada, period. They are doing nothing for Canadians. They're sending billions and billions of dollars offshore. I mean, I could go on literally, Ed, for about 20 minutes on what Trudeau has done since he's come into power. And if you sit back and look at the context, it absolutely boggles your mind. Plus the fact that he just got found guilty on 4 ethics violations. And what does he get? A little slap on the wrist? I mean, we're talking about a guy that's taken 10 paid vacations in 2 years on our taxpayer. That's just, I mean, I could go on, Ed, for hours. What he's doing with our borders, how he's allowing our country just to be invaded right now. The backup in immigration is approximately 11 years to get people actually into the country. the drain on our financial systems, the borders right now. People in Manitoba and Saskatchewan are going, what the hell is going on here? Who is putting up a wall here? We need to put up a wall. It's absolutely insane what he's doing with our borders, man. He's opening up our country to very, very undesirable people. We're not vetting these people properly at all that are coming into our country, Ed. Not at all.
I had a cousin, and she married this guy from France, and they went to go live in Quebec, in Canada, you know. And this is a long time ago. This is way back in the 90s, right? And it was very difficult for them. In fact, they couldn't stay there. They had to like leave and then sneak back in over and over again, even though they had a business and they had bank accounts, they had everything. But they couldn't stay there all the time. They had to keep leaving and then going back, you know, because the rules were so strict. I guess you don't have that anymore?
Sorry, and I got somebody at my flipping door. Can you speak just for a sec? I got to go
I'll fill the time.
Yeah, just for 30 seconds here. Sorry.
Take your time. Let me tell you about OppermanReport.com. If you go to OppermanReport.com, we have a special member section, and there's a lot of exclusive content in there, right? And I'll give you a couple examples. I had an exclusive interview I did with the gentleman, if you're familiar with the McMartin preschool case here in the United States, they call it the Satanic Panic case, right? I have an exclusive interview. No one's interviewed this guy in 30 years, 40 years, but I tracked him down. I have an exclusive interview with him. This guy was there at the scene. First of all, he was the first geologist they brought out to the scene. Ted Gunderson brought him out there with his ground-penetrating radar. And his first examination of the property, he couldn't find these tunnels or any kind of indications of any kind of disturbed underground activity. But later on, and everybody quotes that article, this is, the first guy that came out, he couldn't find anything. Well, he went back there after they raised the property. They wouldn't let him go near the garage. The McMartins told that the garage didn't have anything there. It wasn't part of their property. But when they raised the whole property, he went back there, and they found a hand-dug room underneath the garage and a hand-dug staircase. So I got this exclusive interview with him, and also a document he sent me, and we're following up on this. But this guy hasn't done an interview in 40 years, and it's exclusively there at OppermanReport.com in our member section. Also, too, I had a guest on about the Steve Bannon porn and meth house. Did 2 shows on this. Really, really good stuff, man. Steve Bannon rented this house down in Florida, in Coconut Grove, I think it was. And after the new tenant moved in, they found indications that they were cooking meth in the bathtub in this house. They got samples of it. And also, they were filming porno in this house because the neighbors were talking about it, handymen and stuff were talking about it. And they found they had padlocks on the doors from the inside to lock people inside the house. So they even said that there's a question of human trafficking. It was in Palm Beach is where it was. Are you back, Barry?
Yeah, I'm back now. Yeah,
Who was at the door?
A buddy of mine just dropped by, didn't know I was on the radio, and brought me a coffee. So I got a fresh coffee sitting in front of me, and I told him to come back in about 20 minutes.
You already had 2 cups, man.
I know, and now I got a third one. He just brought me a Tim Hortons, so he didn't know I was on the air, but I appreciate the coffee. Yeah, I caught a little bit about what we're talking about there, Ed, but just the last little bit of it here.
Yeah, I was talking about my members section at OppermanReport.com. A lot of exclusive interviews. I got an exclusive interview there with Tim Tate, the guy who did the documentary Conspiracy of Silence. A lot of exclusive stuff in there. A guy who was a witness to the Arliss Perry murder there in Stanford, California. So if people want to become a member, check it out.
Yeah, just a message there from Chuck. I'm going to try and get him to come in here for a few minutes. I'd like to check Mr. Ocelli for a few minutes and see what he has to say.
Or next week.
Yeah, no. When you get a minute there, Ed, take some time and look what's going on in Canada, because I think we're a bigger threat to the United States than you realize with this maniac we got in Parliament. But tell you right now, we heard a lot when Obama's birth certificate was being questioned in the United States about people going to legal litigation against Obama. But I know right now in Canada there is 3 groups of people that are actively involved with lawyers and really studying the Charter and bringing the Charter to play in Canada, our Charter of Rights and Freedoms. And I believe you're going to see Mr. Trudeau challenged legally in a court of law here in the next 3 weeks is what I'm going to say, because I have been in touch with these groups and talking to some of them. and they're very serious about it. The money's being spent on lawyers, so we'll see where that one goes. But he needs to be challenged because the guy's a traitor. Cut and dry, he is a treasonous person. Nothing he is doing for our country is benefiting Canada in any shape or form. And like I said, I don't have really time to get into all the details of what Trudeau's done, but people should take a little bit of time and kind of just go to the House of Commons proceedings in Canada and have a look at what's been going on. It's a joke.
You know what? With this, there is a lot of discontent. A lot of people are opposing the government these days. And I am a little bit encouraged that so many friends of mine that are activists here locally in Nevada are now running for office, and some of them have a really good chance, even fighting up against the parties, even though they're outside the parties. And even in some cases, they're in the primaries, and fighting against these government stooges, and these insider hacks, and we seem to have a nice little grassroots movement developing here, at least where I'm living.
Well, that's what it's going to take, isn't it? Yeah. People have to actually get involved. We can't be sitting on the sidelines or sitting on the internet sharing memes back and forth or information back and forth. It is taking people. People got to stand up right now. Like right now, what I see going on in Canada, I have, for the first time in my life, I could say that I'm actually really, really concerned about just the future for my children, not my grandchildren.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up.
It's so out of hand here. I mean, we're talking about a guy we had a $2 billion surplus in Canada when Trudeau took over. We are now $58 billion deficit. That's in 2 years. This is what he's done to the Canadian economy. It is just unbelievable. You got a guy that's selling arms to fucking Saudi Arabia. He associates with Hamas, with Muslim that are directly tied to Muslim Brotherhood. I mean, he's got 4 or 5 members of Parliament now that have direct ties to terrorist organizations. It's just absolutely insane. And but what we are seeing, Ed, though, I mean, these groups that I am involved in Canada, we're seeing an audience increase that is absolutely mind-boggling. The amount of people that are getting into these groups now and starting to talk. So we'll see where it goes the next little while here, but we got a fight on our hands. Go ahead.
One of the things I found out, my daughter is involved in speech and debate in school, in high school. Okay, she's going to be a senior next year, and in fact, she's a debate captain. She goes to these all different debate camps and travels to different cities debating. And one of the things we found out is that the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, they recruit from this debate, the forensic debate network, because these are kids that can argue, they study, they do research. These kids are really impressive, and us. We need to stop thinking like guys like you and me, our age, thinking, okay, well, we should go run for office. We need to be targeting these kids in high school and have like a 10-year plan of putting these kids and grooming these kids to be getting it, because that's what they're doing. They're 10 years ahead of us, man. When we're running against some guy like here in Nevada, this guy Cahoon. Was one of Harry Reid's boys. The guy was literally Harry Reid's intern. The guy's never worked a day in his life. He's had nothing but appointments his whole career, and he's in the Senate right now. He just got busted for sexual harassment. But we need to be grooming these kids for 10 years in the future, man. Otherwise, we don't have a chance. They're way ahead of us. Anyway, Chuck's joined the show. Chuck O'Celli, how are you? Line 1.
Is he there? Are you there, Chuck?
Oh, we lost him.
We lost him.
That coward, Chuck O'Celli. Show your face, Chuck. Show your face, O'Celli. I dare you.
Well, he's not green right now on Skype, so maybe he's not.
No, really? My source picture pulled him in. Yeah, you're right. It's not green. He might have lost his internet. Yeah. Pay your bills, O'Celli, and then you have that connection.
He's definitely one of a kind. He does great radio shows. He gets some pretty cool guests in, and he has good conversations all the time.
I'm friends with this kid.
But anyways, we're down to about the last 4 or 5 minutes of the show here, Ed. So why don't you plug your websites and what you're doing and when your shows are on, where people can find you. Yeah. I know.
Nah, I know.
But I always get my guests to do that. You do a lot of cool stuff.
I do it. Sometimes it's cool stuff. I'm a private investigator and a digital forensic investigator. So if you have any kind of litigation you're involved in, you want to catch your wife cheating, anything like that, you can check out my website called emailrevealer.com. Or you just Google Ed Opperman, you find one of my websites and shoot me an email. It'll get to me. But I host a radio show. It's on many stations, iHeart and iTunes and People's Internet Radio. It's on American Freedom Radio, awakeradio.us, IPM Nation, a bunch of PSN, whole bunch of stations. And it's on KYAH 540 AM in Utah on Saturday mornings and Sunday nights. But I'm mostly live on Friday nights and Saturday nights at 5 p.m. You can find the show on Spreaker. We got a big chat room on Spreaker. Conspiracy theories, true crime, a lot of. Right now, I'm doing this whole Corey Feldman thing. It's driving me crazy. And then we did a show about OJ just recently. Politics, I like to support politics, local candidates and stuff like that. Give them a forum. So that's Opperman Report. Just Google Opperman Report. It's easy to find. You need a PI? Give me a shot. You get yourself in trouble, give me a call. I'll help you get out of it. A lot of criminal defense work.
Well, that's a mouthful, Ed. You're a busy guy.
Oh, God, man. Barry, you have no idea. I'm so exhausted. And then this week, man, I had to go to California a couple. No. When my car broke down, I had to get a new car. So I rented a car, and I'm to go drive around, look at used cars. And the freaking budget rent-a-car, man, they overcharged me by $700. $700. I've been fighting with them all week long, man. And finally I got the charges reversed. We finally got it straightened out. But my whole week, 5 days, man, screaming at budget. That's why I got no voice right now. Screaming at budget rent-a-car idiots, trying to get my money back. These crooks. So yeah, I'm exhausted, man. I don't get a break.
Well, we're all kind of going hard these days, Ed, because we see a lot of things developing, and I'm kind of getting in the same boat myself, where I'm committing myself to a few other shows weekly here. I feel it's time we really have to start talking with each other and communicating with each other, because that's what I really see is probably the monumental challenge in our society, is to break down the things that keep us apart and look at each other as being human beings, because we all are. We're all in this together. And we got a monumental pile of problems facing the human race right now. But I believe we have the answers. I do. I do a lot of shows, Ed, now on hemp, and I'm going to end the show with a few thoughts on that, because really everything we're seeing going on with our environment, with our plants, with our biosphere, can all be corrected if we embrace the hemp plant. If we don't, without being a doomsayer, I see a pretty bleak future coming for the human race. And that is based on what I see going on right now on the planet. And really, people just have to open their eyes and take a look. There's some pretty incredible shit going on. Excuse my language. I don't ever swear. But anyways.
Real quick, you mentioned hemp. One of the founding fathers of the marijuana movement, the hemp movement, Dana Beal, he's in his 70s now. Dana Beal from the Youth Internet, from the Yippies on Bleecker Street, and is from Normal. Ran the Marijuana Day Parade in New York for the past 40 years, 50 years. He just got arrested, man. This he's no kid.
They're coming down on all of us, Ed.
Yeah, and so if you just Google Dana Beal, DANABEAL, I'm sure you'll find a GoFundMe. We need to raise some bail to get him out. He's no kid, man. He's in his 80s. And they just grab him again, man, for some nonsense. Everybody's walking around with pot now. What are you giving? You gonna arrest Beal?
Well, I don't have time to get into that one right now, Ed. But we could go on that for about an hour right now, because it's one that we all have to talk about. Come on, People's Internet Radio tonight at 3 p.m. Pacific with Dr. David Allen. We're going to talk about the endocannabinoid system. Tune in. Have a great week, guys. Talk to you later.